I want to let BET know you have completely, you have contributed to the destruction of black family. People don't know. A group of Caucasians own BET, and they said you can't do this kind of music on there, but you can do this kind of music on there. Fast forward to 2022, and I could not believe the display of dysfunction that they started them awards with. First of all, they gonna call me a fat basher, but I will give Lizzo credit. She found the most mobile, obese motherfucker in LA. All the descendants of Rerun from What's Happening. She found them and put them together and had a fat people dance.
I ain't even seen it.
I didn't see the whole thing either. I just saw certain tidbits that I wanted to see.
She had all big people dancing, so she don't look as bad as she looked when she up there singing with skinny people. It was brilliant. I give you all the credit in the world. That was different. That was different. That was the big mobile. Started the show with the big mobiles, the big people.
She started the show.
Oh, bunch.
She performed,
Oh
right?
my God! Yeah, she performed. The girl can sing.
Oh no, yeah.
Ain't nobody saying that
Yes.
Blizzo can't sing. But if you force the big agenda, it's gonna do the same thing that's happening with the fruit booty agenda. Because after Lizzo's song, On Everything I Love, they had a big old bag of sugar man twerking in booty shorts from the back on TV. Are you serious? Black people, look, they took the game. They took hip hop and R&B and the soul culture, and they turned it into a circus.
Oh man.
I'm not saying Lizzo can't sing. I'm saying if Lizzo was to do what she's supposed to do, she's supposed to be real still, like Aretha Franklin, and just do this while she's singing and let us concentrate on your voice. Not seeing your eye prance around.
So you're saying that big people, if they want to...
When we see big girls dance and shit, we just wait on them to get tired. Then they edit it. Like if a big girl asks me to dance, I'll dance with her. She gonna be sleepy when we through. Look, I can't watch a man dance in booty shorts. I didn't cut it off in the green room.
I missed all that. I'm gonna have to pull
But I can't watch no man in no booty shorts act like he talking to me. Now, the children watch the brothers with the blonde, trinkly hair and the lipstick and makeup on and the booty short and backwards. This is what the kids have now. The black family is gone. It's gone. Your kids might say, well, Daddy, what's wrong with a man wearing booty shorts?
He try to make you feel good.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because they're making it just so commonplace.
The people in charge of the programming at BET have done a great job at destructing the black family. The black family now is led by the woman. I'm not saying BET did all that, but they play.
White people. Who runs it? I'm sorry.
White Caucasian people run everything that has to do with TV. Yeah,
like that.
I cut on the BET Awards. The women were dressed like men. The woman came out there, had on suits like men, and the men had on booty shorts.
You talking about like Janelle Monáe or somebody had that?
Hey, I'm just saying, I ain't name dropping. When I cut it on, the women had on the suits, and the men had on the booty shorts and dresses.
Oh my God.
What is my man name? What is the dude name? Billy Porter. I'll drop his name.
I love Billy. Hi, Billy.
Oh, man. I don't even want to know what that man
You see, if it's just one of them, if it's just one man in a dress and everything, then everybody looks at the man in the dress and be like, oh, okay.
The weirdo.
But when all of the men represented,
That's normal.
for the most part, were on the pushed in side of the game. That is the new agenda, the pushed in agenda. That's what they want for us. The strong brothers don't get represented. Look at the goddamn awards. You tell me what strong black man that you'll be like, that's a great example of a leader. Did you see on that stage?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. And before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And today's topic, again, it's such an important topic. And this one is going to be a little bit on the deep side, because we are going to show how, well, we don't necessarily have to help show Allah how wise he is. However, this is just another evidence and another proof in the wisdom of Allah and the mercy of Allah himself in what he reveals in the Quran, and how we can see the stories in the Quran coming into fruition in our time. This clip that you had just saw with Corey Holcomb was essentially talking about the BET Awards. Now, for those of you who don't know, BET stands for Black Entertainment. And it used to be Black-owned, but like everything Black-owned, eventually it gets bought up by the enemy and pushes the enemy's agenda. And for the Muslims now, Muslims, if you are serious about what the enemy has in store for you, you need to look no further than the Black community, because it is a copy and paste system. And whatever has happened in the Black community, you see it already happening in the wider Muslim community. Same thing. It's really no different. Really no different. It's a copy and paste system, as we mentioned. So Corey Holcomb now is talking about the BET and how essentially it says Black on it, and you find Black people on BET, but the agenda is widely a white supremacist agenda. And Black feminism, as we mentioned in our last live, is not like white feminism. It's not the same thing. Black feminism is different in many ways. For example, what is the one thing or the one institution, though? What is the one cultural institution that white feminists partake in that Black women openly rebuke? What is the one institution that white feminists partake in that Black women openly rebuke? It's the institution of marriage. White feminists will get married, right? Black feminism essentially rebukes marriage and tells the world that we, strong, independent Black women, don't need no man. That's Black feminism. Likewise, as we mentioned in our last live, the black gay man has become the new black woman. So what does all this have to do with the wife of Lut? I'm going to get into that, okay? Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. So before we get into that, I want to show y'all this video. Just let me get it queued up here. All right. And we mentioned how this devilish alliance between the black woman and the black gay men to openly call for the destruction of the straight black man and what they call the patriarchy. Y'all hearing me? Mind you, black feminism wasn't a thing until the 60s. There was no history of black feminism before the 60s. Y'all hearing me? This is a superimposed social construct from the enemy. So let me just get this video queued up. 1 second.
Before
1 second, y'all. One second, let me get it up. There we go. All right, so let's watch this.
before I want to. You referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
Once again, what we're seeing here is a black woman putting herself in the front lines of the LGBTQ struggle. Okay? And I want you to listen to this line of questioning. Okay? Just listen to the line of questioning, right? And watch what happens. Right. So far, even when you listen to the line of questioning, there's nothing really out of the ordinary. But watch this, y'all. Watch.
This right then is about.
I want to recognize that your line of questions and persistence.
Right. Before I want to visit with you, Ms. Minsky, but before I do, I just want to clear one thing up. Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups.
So nothing out of ordinary in the line of questioning, right? Let's keep watching, y'all.
Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it.
Did y'all catch that? Like most black women in the black community, they don't want to be questioned about their ideas. I shouldn't say most, but many. And the reason is if you question them, then they have to be accountable for their ideas. Y'all hearing me? But what does this have to do with the wife of Lut? We're getting to it. Just keep watching, y'all. Watch.
Opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So,
what does this have to do with the question? Let's rewind that. Watch, y'all.
Is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
Because of my line of questioning?
Because
so we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies.
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think men can get
So you're denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this? Where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? But again, what does this have to do with the wife of Lut? Okay. For those of y'all, let me just give you a reminder of what happened in the story of Lut. Okay. Yeah, she's a teacher. And for these gender studies classes, they kind of run like this. You're not allowed to question them on anything. And I didn't see anything wrong with the line of questioning at all. There's just some basic questions, right? And it seemed to me like the senator was actually looking for clarification. You understand? However, at the time of Lut, alayhi salam, for those of you who remember, this was the first nation that widely accepted what we now call, in our time, the LGBTQ behavior, right? Just 20 years ago, there was no such thing as an LGBTQ. All of this is kind of like evolving and you know what I mean? It's kind of like becoming more evolved and whatnot, right? So, but the point is that Lut alayhi salam was sent to warn his people about this type of behavior, because this behavior was being widely practiced. So he came, and his people, what were his people doing? They were calling Lut, oh, he thinks he's better than us. He thinks he's cleaner and, much holier than thou. The same types of rhetoric that we hear today. You get me? Mind you, Lut at this time, he has a family. Okay? And when the two angels came to Lut, and they told him that, his nation will be destroyed and he needs to take his family out of that nation, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? As is mentioned in the older text, like the Bible, whatnot, right? And they warned Lut to tell anybody he's taking not to look back at the punishment because they will be disbelievers. Now, what was going on at his time was the wife of Lut, alayhi salam, was somebody who was supporting Lut's people. Y'all hearing me? Who in our time, out of all the communities, widely supports the Como Lutes of today? But not only do they support the Como Lutes of today, but likewise, at the time of Lut's wife would even low-key support those people against her own husband. Y'all hearing me? Who in our time widely supports the modern Como Lut against their own men? Who does it? Who does it? Out of all the people, who is the only matriarchal society on earth today? And out of this matriarchy, who are the women supporting even more than their own men? So when Lut, alayhi salam, was escaping from those people, his own people, and he warned those people who were around him, his family members, as well as whoever else he took, right? Not to look back. Who looked back? It was the wife of Lut, correct? The wife of Lut looked back. Why? Because she was a supporter of those people. And when she looked back, she was destroyed that same second. What we have in the Black society are a nation from the wives of the wife of Lut. Ya salam. Ya salam. These women who have now not only lauded and sided with the wider gay community in the Black community, but they have paired up with them for a mutual agreement in the destruction of their own men. And what is now happening is the chickens have now fully come home to roost. Y'all hearing me? Right now, as we speak, the largest growing homeless group by demographic just happens to be the Black woman. Number one. It was Black women who accepted government handouts against their men in the 60s. It was Black women who sided with Zaddy to keep the Black man out of the house. It was Black women who decided that they needed to be strong, independent. It was Black women who sided with the Como Lut, the modern Como Lut, against their own men, and now they are being destroyed because of it. And as I mentioned before, for the wider Muslim community, if you want a predictor of what the enemy's agenda is for you, you need to look no further than the Black community. All of these social engineering programs, which have been superimposed on the Black community and widely accepted with very little subsidy, mind you, because if you subsidize anything you subsidize, you're going to get more of, correct? So the enemy has subsidized black women keeping black men out of their homes. Okay, the enemy did that. And now, what we have is a nation who largely and widely invest into their own indoctrination, like watching BET, like watching black entertainment in general. Black entertainment in our time is not owned by black people. And most of it, the vast majority of, I can't even think of any off the top of my head, is actually positive. Something that is uplifting for black people. Those days are long, long gone. Okay? Where you have positive images. Now the images that you find are like the clips that we showed in the beginning. And black women have been at the forefront of these feminist issues. When you look at Roe versus Wade, who do you always see talking about, it's a health issue, and women of color, when they say women of color, they mean black women, are affected the most by these abortion issues. Who do they put in front of you? Always a black woman. Who do they put in front of you for the LGBTs and stuff? It's always a black one, like this woman over here. All the time. And in typical Zaddy fashion, Zaddy has decided to betray the black woman now. And now if you look at the Muslim community, what we find is that Muslims are following exactly the same pattern. Exactly, to a T. Okay? They invest heavily in their own indoctrination and then turn around and ask for people to fix the problems that they are largely responsible for. You get it? All because they trusted the enemy over what has been revealed in the Quran and the Sunnah. So you have Muslims who are reinterpreting the Quran and the Sunnah for all kinds of crazy agendas. Now, so far, for the most part, Muslims have widely, you could say, resisted a lot of these movements, whatnot. But the support for these movements is growing rapidly from the Muslim community. And that is because, again, Muslims have widely invested in their own indoctrination by essentially siding with the enemy, with their political agendas, and then calling it Islamic. You get me? A bunch of y'all sent me this thing from Jordan Peterson, right? For example, right? Many of y'all sent me this thing from Jordan Peterson, right? Some of y'all asked me if I'm going to do a reaction to it. I'm like, why? We told y'all about this, right? And then on top of that, there are so many Muslims that can't even see the pompousness of Jordan Peterson and his messaging, his message to Muslims. You get me? Because they're so happy that Zaddy is talking to the Muslims. They're just happy. They're joyous. You know? He looks so cute in his tie and suit. You know what I'm saying? They're happy, dappy, and busting with love. Zaddy talking to us? And then what y'all do is that instead of paying attention to what scholars are saying, you're going to go and watch Jordan Peterson and any other influencer that sides with Jordan Peterson. You get it? So you invest in your own indoctrination, and then when you run into problems, you look for the indoctrinators to give you answers. All this happened before. All of this happened before. Because black folk have widely accepted anything that the enemy finances in our community. Once we have the snowball rolling down the mountain, so to speak, they don't have to do much. They really don't have to do much. So black women now are on the cusp of destruction because of their accepting black feminism. And not only that, but putting themselves in the forefront for everybody else's fight except for the fight that black people need to be fighting. Muslims, same thing. Exactly the same thing. Muslims widely came from their whatever countries because Zadie was the one who destroyed your countries to begin with. And when Zadie invited you, or rather gave you a visa to come to his own country, you were so happy to participate in white supremacy that you didn't call Zadie out. And furthermore, you accepted Zadie's politics. And y'all can't see it. Y'all seriously can't see it. It's like you don't see no problem with this. You know what I mean? It's absolutely insane. Jordan Peterson thinks he's an expert on Islam now since he talked to Muhammad Hijab and Hamza Yusuf. You know, Jordan Peterson, as I said before, is a typical, proud colonialist. Typical proud colonialist, right? And he's very happy about his white supremacist heritage, and he's an opportunist. He's an opportunist. So he's out there, essentially, he found another revenue stream with a bunch of brown and Arab Muslims all over the world who want to be a part of the right-leaning political agenda. That's it. That's all it is. And y'all happily do it. Y'all happily do it. Instead of being on code with the Quran and the Sunnah, you will happily side with Zadie again in your own destruction. I'm just saying. Didn't I call this out like how many months ago? Right? Didn't I say this? Jordan Peterson literally said, "Oh, you Muslims need to, work with the Shia and love the Jews." And like, he don't look at his own white Christian. Muslims don't do that. Muslims don't do anti-Semitism. That is a widely white colonial, whatchamacallit, white colonial, not agenda, like a whatchamacallit. I don't even know how to describe it. That's like from y'all playbook, every bit of white anti-Semitism that you can imagine it started out of Europe. Jews were coming to the Muslim lands to escape Europeans. The Spanish Inquisition. Why did it start? It started from white Christians who didn't want black Muslims or Jews in white Europe. White Christians have a long history. I mean, a long history of killing Jews. But thank you, Kajep, for modus operandi. Jazakallah khair, brother Josh. May Allah reward you. and bless you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold. I mean, thank you so much for your generosity. I haven't been to a live stream in a while. Dropping support for this channel. You're doing important work. Jazakallah khair, hayakumullah, brother Josh. Yep. And inshallah, we have some brothers, who are actually out there, like this brother here, brother Abu Barak, right? He does his thing on Facebook as well. I want to give him a shout out, right? And we have to stay on code. That's the main thing. Don't forget, Muslims. Some of them are offsprings of the colonists. Yeah, of course. So I'm gonna play this clip one more time, right? Just in case y'all missed it in the beginning, we're gonna play it in the again, so y'all can see that this is a very serious. Y'all know it, right? But we're gonna play it again one more time.
I want to let BET know you have completely, you have contributed to the destruction of black family. People don't know a group of Caucasians own BET, and they said you can't do this kind of music on there, but you can do this kind of music on there. Fast forward to 2022, and I could not believe the display of dysfunction that they started them awards with. First of all, they gonna call me a fat basher, but I will give Lizzo credit. She found the most mobile, obese motherfucker in LA. All the descendants of Rerun from What's Happening. She found them and put them together and had a fat people dance.
I ain't even seen it.
I didn't see the whole thing either. I just saw certain tidbits that I wanted to see.
She had all big people dancing, so she don't look as bad as she looked when she up there singing with skinny people. It was brilliant. I give you all the credit in the world. That was different. That was different. That was the big mobile. Started the show with the big mobiles, the big people.
She started the show.
A whole bunch
of.
Oh my God! Yeah, she performed. The girl can sing.
Oh no, yeah.
Ain't nobody saying that.
Yes.
Blizzo can't sing. But if you force the big agenda, it's gonna do the same thing that's happening with the fruit booty agenda. Because after Lizzo's song, On Everything I Love, they had a big old bag of sugar man twerking in booty shorts from the back on TV. Are you serious? Black people, look, they took the game. They took hip hop and R&B and the soul culture, and they turned it into a circus.
Oh man!
I'm not saying Lizzo can't sing. I'm saying if Lizzo was to do what she's supposed to do, she's supposed to be real still, like Aretha Franklin, and just do this while she's singing and let us concentrate on your voice. Not.
Now, I want to say something, okay? And I said this before. As Muslims, what you find is a lot of your Islamic organizations and your imams and whatnot, because they're kind of second generation Muslims, and they're more into assimilating into society. So they feel that the way to get over these hurdles is to come up with some fancy argument against LGBTs and all this kind of stuff, right? And what we said on this channel many times is that you're looking at this all wrong. If you are living in the society, the answer is not assimilation. That's more destruction. The enemy doesn't think like you. The enemy thinks in terms of subversion. Then they ain't worried about you if you're not down with the agenda. They got 25 years to convince your kids to get down with the agenda. You get it? So what we as Muslims need to be doing is we need to be operating independently. And I said many times, I don't believe in no integration. I'm sorry, I don't believe in integration as a strategy for Black folk or for Muslims for that matter into the larger dominant society. Because integration essentially is a form of subversion. That's all it is. They have so many years to convince your children to operate within the confines of their own society. So we need to be independent. That's why I support homeschooling, Islamic schools, and voting independently. Not voting for the left wing of politics or the right wing of politics, like the majority of your Islamic organizations, how they operate. They're either left wing or right wing. That's it. They want to operate within the rules and the confines of the devil's society. And you think you're going to play under the devil's rules and get a godly outcome. How that work? You get it? It's not going to work. It can't work. Black women now have been convinced by the wider devilish society to abandon their men, not just abandon their men, but to use the government as a tool to bankrupt their own men. So now you have these programs now, these economic programs from Western governments, so many of them for Black women specifically. Why Black women? Why not Asian women or Indian women? Why specifically Black women? Because the enemy understands if you empower the Black man, you empower the Black family. But if you empower the Black woman, you empower her against the Black man, thus destroying the Black family. You get it? So Black women now are seeking education and independence and whatnot. And on top of that, siding with the LGBTs within the Black community against the Black men. Likewise, this is also happening within the Muslim community, the wider Muslim community. And so Black women have taken the positioning and the mindset and the thought processes of the wife of Lut. Because the woman now sees herself as powerful in the eyes of the strong, of the whatchamacallit, the masculine, decisive man. You get it? And she's found an ally with effeminate men against masculinity. And Allah put that in the Quran. And in the year 2022, what we are seeing now are the actual results of millions of the same type of women, like the wife of Lut. The same type. And nothing good coming out of their mindset, like nothing. And yet still, they will fight for their own destruction instead of supporting their own people. Black women and gay men are about their own community. That's correct. So what will happen is, because the end result, as we are seeing, is that Black men, by and large, are going elsewhere. Not because they don't love Black women, not because they're not attracted to Black women, but because Black women are the only society that has accepted this. When Barack Obama went to Kenya and told the Kenyan president that they need to accept this LGBTQ stuff all over Africa. And can you imagine? Can you imagine? And now they're trying to push it in Muslim countries, like hardcore. Hardcore, so much so that Muslim countries are banning movies, okay? Even though Muslim countries are letting a whole bunch of other stuff go on, like concerts and alcohol and, free mixing, all kind of stuff. The one thing that they're resisting now is the indoctrination into this agenda. Okay, we can agree with that. That's the one thing that they're resisting. You get me? And however, at the same time that this is happening, it's the same playbook. It's whatever happened in the black community, that's what they're doing in Muslim countries now. So if you want to know what's going on, you don't have to go very far. Really, you don't have to go very far. Just look right here. We're going to open up the lines now, if anybody wants to come and join me. So, at any rate, as we mentioned before, the one cultural institution that white feminists continuously participate in, that black women openly rebuke and deny, is the institution of marriage. Okay? The institution of marriage. Okay? For us now, we have to be vigilant in keeping our families together. Incredibly vigilant. And we have to be patient with each other. These countries that have, essentially allowed this type of Western thoughts and processes and cultural agendas from the West to creep into their countries, they're going to have the same problems that we have. They're going to have mass divorce. They're going to have baby mamas. They're going to have all of that. They will have all of that because they think that by just preventing movies from coming into their countries, certain movies with like clear LGBT scenes, they think that that's going to prevent something, right? And the reality is that, again, they're looking at it all wrong. They're looking at it all wrong. The real problem is not a movie. The real problem is that you are allowing movies in general into your countries. Movies are mind control tools. Okay? Particularly in our time, especially modern movies. Especially modern movies. More so modern movies than any other period in time. All modern movies, all modern sitcoms, all modern TV shows, even modern news carry heavy subliminal messaging in order to lean the population towards group thought and group thinking. Especially now, right? Modern movies and modern TV shows in our time, particularly, are incredibly liberal and political in nature. And you will find them, Bilal mentions the animated films. You'll find the animated films showing all kinds of LGBT stuff. And in modern movies, every protagonist in modern movies has to be some like superwoman, you know what I mean? Masculine, powerful woman who can take out men by just sneezing on them. You know, this is modern movies now. So the problem isn't the fact that you stopped a movie. The problem is that you are watching movies. And as long as you're watching movies and films and animated shows and these type of things, you are investing in your own indoctrination. It doesn't make a difference if you stop a movie from your country. You get it? It doesn't stop. I remember when I went to Saudi to teach, and the proof of it is that when I was teaching in Saudi, right? The Saudis would ask me if I was a nigger. And they didn't mean nothing by it, but I got asked this many times because of what they saw on TV. And they literally believed that black people were criminals and rappers, and you know what I mean? They believe that stuff. They believe that stuff. So if you think that these films don't have an effect on your psychology, of course they do, particularly on children, because the brainwaves of children, they run on a theta frequency, which means that they're much more imaginative than an adult. You get it? So they can turn their imagination into reality quite quickly. So you find, for example, when your children are playing, having a tea party or whatnot, for you see a bunch of kids, maybe playing in mud or, with empty teacups, but for them, in their mind, all this stuff is real. You get it? It's real concepts. When you see kids play fighting, like, they're play wrestling and they're imitating wrestlers that they see on TV, or maybe fighting moves they see in on movies, all of that is because of indoctrination. So stopping a movie is not going to do anything, right? And the Islamic position should be, don't watch movies, don't watch these shows, don't have TV in your house. That should be the Islamic position. But what you find is that your institutions and your like, you can say your modern imams or whatnot, because they kind of grew up here and they grew up on movies like everybody else. They're trying to convince you that the movie is wrong instead of telling the Muslims the right thing, which is don't watch movies, right? The writing staff now has psychologists and consultants, of course. Of course. You understand? Because again, for us who are older, we can see the danger coming, but the children, they can't. For them, it's going to be normalized. You get it? And that's what it's about, really. Okay, so I want to thank everybody who joined me today. Jazakallah khair. I want to thank Brother Josh for your generosity. Hayakum Allah. May Allah reward you and bless you and multiply it 1,000-fold. Ameen. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Subhanaka wa bihamdik wa shara la ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.